Hi, I'm Linda and life has thrown me more curveballs than I ever imagined. 5 years ago, I thought I hit the jackpot when I married John. He was charming, successful, and seemed to genuinely care about both me and my daughter, Emma. I already had Emma from a previous marriage, and John brought his son, Tyler, into our new blended family. I was determined to make it work, treating both kids equally and with all the love I could give. Emma, sweetie, how about we invite Tyler for movie night? I'd suggest, trying to help the kids bond. Emma would nod eagerly, always willing to try. Can we watch a superhero movie? Tyler likes those. I'd smile, proud of her. That's a great idea. Why don't you go ask him? But more often than not, Tyler would shrug off the invitation. Nah, I'm good. Got plans with my friends, he'd say, barely looking up. John would reassure me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. He's a teenager, Linda. It's normal for him to want space. I'd nod, trying to silence my doubts. You're right, I just want us all to be close. Things took a turn 2 years ago when my parents passed away, leaving me a sizable inheritance. I was determined to use it wisely. John, I think we should set some of this money aside for Emma's future, I suggested one night as we sat together reviewing paperwork. He nodded, but something in his eyes unsettled me. Of course, but we should think about Tyler too. He's closer to college age. A twinge of unease crept up my spine. Tyler's mom is handling his college fund. Remember, we agreed on that when we got married. I know, he said, a bit too casually. I'm just saying we should keep our options open. I should have paid more attention to that moment. I should have seen the red flags. My best friend Olivia even tried to warn me. Over coffee one afternoon, she gently raised her concerns. Linda, don't you think John favors Tyler a bit too much? She asked cautiously. I bristled at first. What? No, he loves both kids equally. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? I've seen how he is with them. It's different. I waved it off, more to convince myself than her. Blending families is hard. We're still figuring it out. Just keep your eyes open, okay? And remember, I'm here if you need me, she said, squeezing my hand. I was grateful for her support, though I didn't realize how much I'd need it in the months to come. As time went on, a nagging feeling grew inside me. Something was off with our finances. Bills I thought I paid were showing up overdue, and our savings seemed to be shrinking faster than I could explain. John, have you noticed anything strange with our bank statements? I asked one evening. He barely looked up from his phone. No, everything seems fine. Why? I don't know, something just feels off. He finally met my eyes, his expression unreadable. You worry too much, Linda. I've got everything under control. I wanted to believe him, but then I found it, a withdrawal for $5,000 that I hadn't made. My heart raced as I dug deeper. The more I looked, the worse it got. Multiple large withdrawals, passwords changed without my knowledge. Panic set in. That night, I called Olivia. Liv, I think something's really wrong, I said, my voice shaking. She listened as I spilled everything, John's dismissive attitude, the unexplained withdrawals, the changed passwords. When I finished, she was silent for a moment. Linda, this sounds serious. You need professional help. I know a private investigator, Mike Carson. Want me to call him? I hesitated, then agreed. A week later, Mike called me into his office. The look on his face told me everything before he even spoke. Mrs. Thompson, I'm afraid I have some bad news, he began. John hadn't just been making a few unauthorized withdrawals. He'd been systematically draining our joint account, transferring large sums to an account in Tyler's name. Mike slid a document across the desk. I stared at it, struggling to process what I was seeing. Money meant for both our children's futures, money from my inheritance. There's more, Mike continued. John told Tyler this money was a gift for his future. Tyler's been aware of this for some time. That night, I confronted John. I'll never forget the look on his face, not guilt or shame, but irritation, as if I had inconvenienced him by uncovering his betrayal. Tyler needs it more, John said, as if that somehow justified everything. He's closer to college age. And what about Emma's future? I demanded, my voice rising. What have you left for her? John had the audacity to shrug. There's a savings bond in her name. That should be enough. I was speechless, but the betrayal ran deeper than I could have imagined. Over the next few days, I uncovered even more lies. Friends started reaching out, concerned about things John had apparently been saying about me. He'd been painting me as unstable, unreasonable. a bad mother. And Emma, my sweet Emma, had been caught in the middle. John had been manipulating her, making her keep secrets from me. As the full extent of John and Tyler's deception became clear, I felt a rage I had never known before. Sitting in my car outside our house, a house that no longer felt like home, I made a decision. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. John and Tyler might think they'd won, but they had no idea what was coming. I was done being the victim. It was time to fight back. John had already proven he was willing to lie and steal, so I couldn't let him see me coming. The next morning, I called in sick to work and met with Lisa Chen, a divorce lawyer Olivia had recommended. Based on what you've told me, Linda, we have a strong case for financial fraud, Lisa said, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. But we'll need ironclad evidence. Can you access all your financial records? I nodded, determination hardening inside me. I'll find a way. At home, I played the role of the dutiful wife, pretending I'd moved past my suspicions. John bought it hook, line, and sinker. I'm glad you've come around, honey, he said one night, kissing my cheek. I knew you'd understand eventually. I forced a smile, bile rising in my throat. Of course, dear. I trust you. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence as if my life depended on it. I reached out to my company's IT department, spinning a story about a personal project. Hey Sarah, chirped Alex, our resident tech whiz. What can I do for you? I'm working on tracking some old transactions for a side gig, I lied smoothly. Any tips on how to trace digital money transfers? Alex's eyes lit up. Oh, I've got just the tools for that. Let me show you. Armed with Alex's tech know-how, I dug deeper into our finances. The more I uncovered, the worse it got. John hadn't just been stealing from me, he'd been cooking the books at his own company too. That night, I anonymously tipped off John's company about the embezzlement. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. A few days later, all hell broke loose. John came home in a panic, his face ashen. Sarah, we need to talk, he said, his voice shaking. I steel myself. This was it. Yes, we do, John. He launched into a frantic explanation about misunderstandings and mistakes, begging for my help to cover his tracks. But I'd had enough of the lies. Stop, John, I said, my voice cold. I know everything. The money you stole from our account, from my inheritance, the lies you've been telling about me, the way you've manipulated Emma, and now your little embezzlement scheme at work. John's face crumpled. He fell to his knees, grabbing my hands. Sarah, please, I'm so sorry. I'll make it right, I swear. We can fix this together. I pulled my hands away. Fix this, John. You've stolen our daughter's future. You've lied to my face for months. You've tried to turn our friends against me. There's no fixing this. But I love you, he pleaded, tears in his eyes. We can start over. Please just give me another chance. No, John, I said, my voice steady. It's too late for that. We're done. As I walked away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The road ahead would be hard. But for the first time in months, I could see a future where Emma and I were free from lies and betrayal. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, Emma working on her homework beside me, when my phone buzzed with a news alert. Local accountant under investigation for major fraud. The headline screamed at me. My hands shook as I read the article. Emma looked up, concern in her eyes. Mom, what's wrong? I forced a smile. Nothing, sweetie, just some work stuff. But I couldn't shield her from the truth for long. The police got involved, freezing John's assets, and Tyler's, too. That same day, I filed for divorce, citing financial abuse and fraud. Lisa, my lawyer, was a godsend through it all. We've got him, Sarah, she said, her voice fierce. He won't get away with this. As the truth came to light, our friends and family were stunned. I'll never forget the look on my in-laws' faces when they learned what their son had done. We had no idea, John's mother sobbed. Sarah, we're so sorry. Tyler, confronted with the reality of his part in his father's schemes, tried to backpedal. He showed up at our door one day, all bravado gone. Sarah, I swear I didn't know where the money was coming from, he pleaded. I just shook my head. Save it, Tyler. You're old enough to know right from wrong. The hardest part was telling Emma. We sat her down one evening and I explained as gently as I could about her father's betrayal. But why, Mom? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Why would Dad do this? I pulled her close. I don't have, sweetie, but we're going to be okay. I promise. I enrolled Emma in therapy to help her cope with the upheaval. 2 years later, life looks very different. I'm thriving in my career, having earned a promotion last month. Emma, now 12, is excelling in school and has found a passion for soccer. "Mom, did you see that goal I scored?" she yelled, running off the field after a game. I scooped her up in a hug. "I sure did, champ. You were amazing." John is serving time for his crimes, financially ruined. I've heard through the grapevine that Tyler is struggling, working a minimum wage job and living with his mother. As for me, I feel vindicated, stronger than I ever thought possible. Emma and I have built a stable, loving home, free from the toxic influences of our past. Looking back on this journey, I realize that while the betrayal nearly broke me, it also revealed my resilience. Emma and I faced the storm together, and we've come out stronger on the other side. Our future is bright, filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. And that's a happy ending I never saw coming. Now I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have given John a second chance? Or do you believe some betrayals are too deep to forgive, even when it comes to family? Share your thoughts in the comments below.